Hey, what's up, guys? So, it seems like we're entering into a world where privacy won't exist anymore. And it seems like this world will be controlled by a handful of very, very, very powerful financial institutions, which in turn will be controlled by a very, very small group of people. And I think it's a pretty scary world that they're setting up, and that they've already set up. I mean, they've been doing this for centuries. We know that. Well, I shouldn't say we know that, but we think that that's the case. Who am I talking about? I mean, on the classic names you probably know, or you may not. Rockefeller, Rothschild, J.P. Morgan, these types. They've been, as I said, constructing this world that we live in, this matrix that we live in, if you will, for centuries. And it's hard to say if it's an evil matrix or a good matrix or somewhere in between. I think the system as it is now, the financial system, the governmental system, the system of nations, and whatever, is basically a reflection of the current state of our consciousness. And so, um, we as a species, we're still immature, we're still greedy, we're still jealous, we're still envious, da 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 da. We still don't trust each other, and therefore we have to build these systems. By necessity, we have to build these systems which reflect all of those psychological truths about our consciousness, if you will. Um, but I think we can do better. I think that we can create systems um, that are more egalitarian, more, how to say, which allow systems which would allow the flourishing, of the human potential. Not to say that the current system doesn't allow that. I mean, plenty of human potential has flourished under this system. We've got incredible art that's been produced. I don't want to just throw the baby out with the bathwater, but we can do better, I think. And how do we do better? I think we have to build uh, alternate systems, and systems which are kind of maybe run in parallel a bit, where they kind of interlink and interweave with the current matrix system of government, banks, financial institutions, corporations, whatnot. But this new matrix system has to be it's kind of a paradox, because I feel like it has to be wholly separate and complete on its own, but it also has to be interwoven and interconnected into the system as it currently is. So how do we do that? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm open to some ideas. If you got some ideas, put some in the comments. I think that one thing that a more enlightened system would be a free flow of information, where intellectual property wouldn't exist. And so, if a great idea or a great invention is created, it kind of belongs to everybody, and everybody can improve upon it and manipulate it and expand it, as opposed to this closed wall system we have, where great ideas get, I would say, shackled into these cordoned off areas where, only privileged individuals can work on these ideas and expand these ideas, or expand these technologies. It would be great, I think, if, yeah. So, no more intellectual property. I think that's the way to go. And that includes all intellectual property. So, yeah. And I think that would allow like a greater flourishing of human potential, because any idea, any invention that's created, as I said, could be expanded upon, could be used by anybody in any corner of the world. And I think, the intellectual property is a function of greed, because I think people fear that, okay, I'm creating this great idea, I have to get paid, right? And it's kind of like this fear-based mentality, where it's like, why not think of, okay, I created this great idea, I created this great invention, and I don't need to blockade it. I don't need to make it mine. I can give it to the world, and the world will give me something back in return. It's kind of like a trust in the universe, as opposed to a trust in intellectual property laws. Something like that. Yeah. An interesting anecdote. I heard that Benjamin Franklin, when he invented I think it was the lightning rod, and he just gave it to the world for free without intellectual property or copyright or patent or whatever like that. And yeah, I think that's just the best model. Is just we all creations, whether it's art, invention, idea, are just given for free, and that actually ties into another thing. I think that we cannot be free until everything is free. And so, yeah, all goods, services, I think ideas, inventions need to be freely exchanged in a free market, in a real free market. Capitalist thinkers, Milton Friedman, whatever, they love to talk about free markets. But are they really free markets when you have to actually have money to buy something? I don't think so. I think a free market is a real free market is when goods and services are consensually given and taken, and there's no need for a middleman. There's no need for financial intermediaries. All transactions are done um, just between people. And I think some people, I've talked to this with some people, and they say, "Oh, well, that's just barter," I reply back, "No, actually, barter is even worse. It's probably the worst system of exchange, because it relies upon the other person having uh, what you want, right? So, um, yeah, and if they don't have what you want, you can't barter with them. But in a true like free exchange system where everything is freely exchanged, without any expectation of um, having something given back to you in the immediate exchange, so like, let's say, for example, like, you want some mangoes, and you go to the guy who grows the mangoes, um, and you don't have anything that he wants, for whatever reason, but he has the mangoes. He gives you the mangoes freely, knowing that he can get what he wants from somebody else freely. And I think this just completely erases, or maybe not completely, but it's maybe perhaps the most frictionless system we have, where barter is incredible amounts of friction. You need to have what the other guy wants to trade with him. Money is maybe a little better, a little less friction than barter, because you need to have money. But if you have money, you can get basically whatever you want. But I think a free exchange system is almost frictionless, if not completely frictionless, because um, what you want, um, can be attained, without the need for having money, and also you can give to somebody, without the need of them having money. Yeah, I think that's probably the best. And I've heard people say, well, to me, when I bring this up to people, and they say, well, that reduces incentive to work, but people want to work. I shouldn't even say work. Maybe people don't want to work, because I think work kind of implies something you don't want to do. But people want to contribute value to their world. They want to create things. They want to build things. It's a natural part of being a human being. So I don't think, if everything is free, people will just want to take, and they won't want to give anything. I think probably the opposite. I think people, if they can take what they need exactly when they need it, um, then they will want to give, much more back, I think, actually. So, all right, that's a bit of a rant there. So I guess, in summary, I would say we need to build, or I don't even know if it's building, maybe it's just deconstructing. Maybe it's just deconstructing the systems we have now, and allowing kind of natural tendencies to flourish. But however you want to look at it, we need to transition from this system of top-down control, financial institutions controlling every transaction in your life, politicians controlling every rule that you live by. Um, and we need to kind of decentralize power, but not in the way Bitcoin is doing it. I'll talk about that in another video. Bitcoin is, I don't think, any solution to any is not a solution to the world's problems. I think it's actually just creating more problems. Another video. But in summary, yeah, we need to create a good matrix, a matrix of free exchange between free people, a system where there's no hierarchies of power, of dominance, and every person is their own kind of sovereign entity, and they can choose how they want to live their life, so long as they're not going against the will of others, let's say. And I think some people say, well, that's impossible, and I maybe they're right. Maybe like people have competing wills, and you need a government to kind of arbitrate those competing wills and create a rule system so that we can reach some sort of balance. But I think really that as human beings, we have at least certain shared interests, and we can build a society around those shared interests. So yeah, and at the end of the day, man, we're all one, man. Everything is one, Everything is one, man. One. No separation between the sun, the earth, the moon, and you. All one. And so we need to start acting like we're one, and work together as opposed to working against each other and competing against each other. Um, yeah. Well, I don't know. I could be wrong about all that. Who knows? I think it's important not to know anything and just to flow with the way things go. All right. So, yeah, I guess in summary, again, create a good matrix, a better matrix, and move away from this matrix of being dominated by a very, very select few people. Um, yeah. All right. I guess that's all I got for now. All right. Take care. This has been Dave for Bcraft Money Talks. I'm Dave Bcraft. All right.